Mr. Kumaraswamy is an Indian geneticist and molecular biology researcher. He is a senior scientist at the Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology. Sri Kumaraswamy Thangaraj, born on 2nd June 1963 in Cheyur, Kanchipuram district, Tamil Nadu. Mr. Thangaraj completed his Bachelor of Science in 1984 and his Masters of Science in 1988 at the University of Madras. After completing his MPhil, he did his doctoral research in genetics at the University of Madras, Taramani campus, and he was awarded his PhD in 1996. Shortly before receiving his doctorate in 1993, he joined the Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology (CCMB) in Hyderabad as a scientist. He later became a senior scientist at the institute. His research primarily focuses on human population genetics. He contributed to research on the genetic structure of Indian populations, including studies supporting the model that present-day Indians derive ancestry from two ancient groups known as Ancestral North Indians (ANI) and Ancestral South Indians (ASI). He led studies on the genetic history of Andamanese tribes, including the Onge and Great Andamanese, which found that their maternal lineages belong to haplogroup M and show deep divergence within Asian populations, supporting models of early modern human dispersal into Asia. He conducted detailed study on genetic diseases caused by the caste system and consanguineous marriages prevalent in India. During the COVID-19 pandemic, he co-authored a genomic study examining genetic susceptibilities to SARS-CoV-2 among isolated and endogamous South Asian populations. He was honored by many prestigious awards like Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar 2025, J.C. Bose Fellowship CSIR India 2019, Fellow Indian National Science Academy, Fellow Indian Academy of Sciences, Sun Pharma Research Award Medical Sciences. For his significant contributions to research in science and engineering, the Government of India honored him with the Padma Shri, the fourth highest civilian award, in 2026.
Namaskaram. Welcome to the special program from Doordarshan, Mana Padmalu. Today, we are honored to host one of the India's most respected scientists, Padma Shri Dr. Kumaraswamy Thangaraj, whose pioneering work in genetics and human evolution has brought global recognition to Indian science. From decoding India's genetic heritage to advancing research in the rare disease and genomics, his contribution have transformed both science and healthcare. Well, it's a privilege to have him with us today for an insightful conversation. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Sir, before we speak about the scientist, let us first understand about the person behind the remarkable journey. First of all, congratulations on receiving Padma Shri Award. What does this recognition mean to you, sir?
Padma Award is one of the topmost award given by Government of India, and it means that whatever the work I have been doing for the last 3 decades have been recognized by the Government of India. I am honored to have this award from the President of India, and everybody is happy in my home, my colleagues and my students, collaborators, everybody. So, I am thankful to the Government of India for honored with the Padma Shri Award.
So, moving on, what was your immediate reaction when you received the news from the Government of India?
It's really joy that somebody is hearing that the person is getting Padma Shri Award. So, anybody will have the joy as the yes, the same way I also
special feelings.
Yes.
Sir, looking back at your childhood in Tamil Nadu, did you ever imagine such a journey?
I did not really imagine that I will reach one day in Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology. I will be doing such a high quality science, and it will be useful for the society in general, and will be recognized by the government. So, it is all happened over a period of time, right. I did not imagine when I was young.
Sir, tell us about your family background and early upbringing, sir.
I was born and brought up in a village called Cheyur in Tamil Nadu, which is located between Chennai and Pondicherry in the coastal side. I was born in a family where agriculture was a practice. That means my father was a farmer, and all my schooling was there in the Cheyur. Then I moved to Chennai for my graduation, post graduation, and PhD. Then I moved to Hyderabad at the Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology for the last little more than three decades. I have been here.
Sir, what kind of values did your parents instill in you, sir?
Because they even without their teaching, so the way they do hard work and they interact with the people, so that itself is a lesson to learn at the very young age, right. So, that is still with me, and unfortunately I lost both of them, but I always remember about whatever they have done for my early career, and without their full support I would not have reached to this level.
Surely, sir. Sir, were you naturally curious as a child? What interested you most during your school days?
In the school, particularly when the school is in village, that gives a lot of advantage for seeing a lot of nature, seeing a lot of plant, seeing a lot of animals, and how the next generation animals carrying the same phenotype of the mother, same way the plant, the next generation of the plant also give the similar seed, similar color flower, and so on. So, that is very interesting to see. That is later on understood that it is nothing but genetics, genetics being transmitted generation after the generation. So, that is one interesting point which I learned at the beginning of my school days, which helped me in taking genetics as a main subject to pursue my PhD and my research.
Sir, were there any teacher or mentor who influenced you thinking during your formative years?
Yes, of course. So, teachers are at home, initially my father, then the school teachers, and we moved to college, and for PhD particularly my mentor Professor Gopinath, they are all influenced, and then I moved to CCMB. Dr. Lalji Singh was my immediate mentor. All of them have helped me in shaping up my career.
Sir, your journey into genetics began at the time when the field was still evolving in India. Genetics was not considered a mainstream career then. What motivated you to pursue, sir?
As I already mentioned that genetics was the one which influenced me as a student in the school by looking at nature. Later when I went to college, then went to do PhD, I got more interested in human genetics. So, my PhD was also on human genetics. So, then I continued that thinking that it has a great value in the future, and now I think in the future is going to be very useful for the common people.
Sir, could you briefly take us through an academic journey from Loyola College to your PhD?
So, Loyola College is the one where I did my masters in zoology. From there I moved to University of Madras. When I supposed to choose this special field, because there was influence of genetics, I chosen genetics for my MPhil degree, where I did special project in population genetics. Then when I moved to PhD, the same Department of Genetics with Professor Gopinath, I did cytogenetics,
Okay.
looking at the chromosomal aberrations, variations in people with the different diseases. So that gave me much more interest in pursuing uh, research in the field of genetics. So rest of the things all of you are aware.
Yes, sir. Sir, what were the biggest challenges during your early research years, sir?
I do not really feel any challenge which I had. So whatever the challenge we face, so that is one step which helps us in looking back. So what are the mistake we have done, correcting ourselves to do much better. So I do not think I really consider as a challenge. I consider that as kind of steps for the next stage.
Sir, your work has fundamentally challenged how we understand the ancestry and diversity of Indian population. For our viewers, could you explain genetics in simple terms, sir?
So genetics in simple term, some kind of the features in a common sense that people
Yes.
see in the father or mother,
Yes, sir.
which are transmitted to the next generation. Right? Even people without knowing genetics, they know that certain feature or characters are transmitted from one generation to other generation. Therefore, that is nothing but there is a genetic variation which are responsible for that features or character are being transmitted from one generation to other generation.
So, why is genetics so important in modern science and medicine, sir?
Genetics is very important. Without understanding the genetics, it is very difficult to understand how certain drugs are useful for certain individuals or certain
Suitable.
group, but not other groups. So that is one way in terms of modern medicine I am saying. Any medicine we take, there are genes which metabolize those drugs and gives us the therapeutic response. But certain variations in those genes can change the therapeutic response of the drug. For example, in a given piece of DNA which helps in metabolizing the drug, there are two different changes. DNA is made up of 4 nucleotides, adenine, guanine, thymine and cytosine.
Okay.
The way in the order in which these nucleotides are arranged is the one which makes sense. Right? If people are individuals having different set of variations rather than one set of variations, so that actually alters the efficacy of the drug. Rather than treating the individual, sometimes it also create problem and leading to adverse effect. Rather than treating the individual, you will be actually giving some kind of toxic to the individual. Therefore, it is not going to treat the individual, rather than the individual has to suffer because of those variations. So in the future, I am sure that the drugs would be developed based on the genetic variations of the individual and treat them accordingly. So this one also helps, not only wasting the time, wasting the money, and for better treatment. So therefore, genetics is going to play a major role in the future modern
Surely,
medicine.
sir. Sir, your research on Andaman tribes received worldwide attention. Why was that discovery so significant?
If you look at worldwide populations based on their phenotypes, we all know in Africa the original place where the human are scientifically as Homo sapiens have evolved. Right? From there, people have migrated to other part of the country. But the question remained was, who was the first modern human migrated out of Africa? So, that question was there for very, very long time. So, our research actually helped in understanding that the Andaman tribes are the first modern human who have migrated out of Africa for the very first time and reached Andaman and Nicobar Islands about 65,000 years back.
Okay.
So, in that process, some people stayed in southern part of India, some stayed in Andaman and Nicobar Island. There are 4 different tribal groups who typically look like Africans.
Okay.
Onge, Great Andamanis, Sentinelese and Jarvas. And further some of them moved towards Australia. So, you can see Australian Aboriginals, Andaman tribes and some group in southern part of India. Even today they share some kind of genetic affinities.
Okay.
Therefore, this is the first time we are demonstrating
Yes, sir.
that who was the first modern human who migrated out of Africa. So, that is interesting to not only scientific
To everyone.
organization or scientific people, but it is interesting to every single individual. Therefore, it is very important.
Sir, well, one of your landmark studies proposed that Indian population originated from 2 major ancestral groups, ANI and ASI. Could you explain this in a simple way, sir?
So, I mentioned in my previous answer, while Andamanis were migrating from Africa, some stayed in southern parts of India. That means, those who are staying in southern part of India all are from the early human migrations lineage, right,
Okay.
that whom we call as ancestral South Indians, otherwise ASI, right. Then there was subsequently there were several migrations, yet another migration brought people who migrated from Africa, and there was a split. One group must have gone to Europe, other group has come to northern part of India, whom we call as ancestral North Indians, right, or ANI.
Yes.
What happened subsequently, they have evolved or given rise to many populations.
Okay.
So, people migrated from south to north, from north to south, and there was a mixing of people,
Okay.
right. In the present day India, everybody have combinations of both ancestral South Indians and ancestral North Indians. Okay. There is no single group existing as a very separate group except the Andaman tribes. So, we are all admixed. I always say is one example for the admixing is the skin color, right.
Yeah.
So, we have extreme dark color people, we have extreme light skin color people, and in between we always see so many shades.
Yes.
We do not see such a unique feature anywhere in the world. So, it is a diversity, I think unity in diversity.
Yeah.
So, that is a big
Sir, your research also challenged several long held assumptions regarding ancient migrations to India. What did this evidence reveal?
So, there was a evidence suggesting that there was a Aryan waves, that is one big thing which we refuted. There is no single group existing as an Aryan. So, everybody is now mixed. One of our studies where we looked at several bone samples are called as ancient sample and several population, contemporary population. So, that shows that there were some migrations who have come maybe around 1000 to 2000 BCE back, brought languages, particularly Indo-European language, and same group they are none other than the Yamnaya pastoralites, who have also taken the Indo-European language to Europe and northern part of it. That migration is not very old, 1000 to 2000 BCE.
Okay.
So, subsequently there are several small migrations have happened, for example, Siddhis, Jewish, Parsis, and that is why India is a country where we have 4635 anthropologically well defined population groups. Such a huge diversity exists only in India, nowhere in the world.
Sir, well, moving on, India has extraordinary genetic diversity. What makes Indian population unique from scientific perspective?
So, I just mentioned about the diversity which exists in India. In terms of worldwide populations, most of the worldwide population genome has been sequenced, and we just completed 10,000 genome. That is the first step in terms of genetics. When we did the sequencing of 10,000 individuals from 83 populations, we found millions of variations which has not been reported elsewhere in the world, and some are very much relevant to pharmacogenomics, right, response to drug and so on. So, one is that in the global genomic data, Indian population data is missing, so which we are now trying to include that. Second, most of the drugs which are developed based on the western genome sequence, which most often may not be relevant to India. Therefore, it tells that we need to develop certain drugs based on the mutations which are existing in the drug metabolizing enzyme genes of Indian population. So, it has lot of future perspectives.
Sir, how does DNA help scientists understand ancient human history?
If you want to study ancient history, so one good thing is that we need to study the ancient biological materials like bones, air samples, root of the air, because these are very important resource for understanding our past. So, if you do sequencing of contemporary population, we can understand how our genome is now.
Yeah.
But if you look at the DNA sequence of older sample of maybe few thousand-year old, then we can also see how our genome was earlier and how it was evolved now in terms of having mutation in the gene which caused the disease, having mutation in the gene which makes the people susceptible for infection for some of the infectious disease and so on. We can understand that how we all have evolved. So, it will give you information about how it was there thousands of years back, right. So, and also you can trace our evolutionary history, how we are connected with those samples and how that is connected with other population or samples. So, it gives lot of information.
Sir, ancient DNA studies are now becoming global important. What future possibilities do you see in this field, sir?
I just mentioned about the advantage of looking at the ancient DNA study, but unfortunately we do not have a good collection of ancient sample, because one major problem is the climatic condition, right. In India we do not have highly preserved ancient samples, except the sample which we collected from Rupkund, that is a Rupkund lake which is in Himalaya.
Skeleton ponds.
Yes,
it is called as.
Yes, so we did work which was very successful in analyzing those samples, but unfortunately in other places we do not see such a old samples because of the climatic conditions, right. That is one disadvantage.
So, moving on, your work has not only explored history but also helped improve healthcare and medical understanding.
Yes.
How can genetics help in preventing inherited diseases?
So, genetics is the one which can help us in preventing inherited diseases, both in common inherited diseases, rare inherited diseases. For example, somebody having any disease, right, caused by a certain mutation, we can look at two different ways, two broadly I am saying. For example, there is a mutation which causes cardiac disease, right, heart attack or something. The parents are having, and we diagnose the parents because of the mutation, they have the disease. The age of onset is, for example, 40 years. The disease is developed, then start treating, and we could not keep the individuals for very long time. So, that is after disease is developed. In most of the cases, if you diagnose the disease at very early age before it showing the symptoms, particularly I am talking about cardiomyopathy, where the heart muscle, there are 3 different kind of cardiomyopathy: dilated, that means the heart ventricle enlarges; hypertrophy, the heart muscle become very thick; third one is restrictive cardiomyopathy, where heart muscle become very stiff. Because of that, it leads to sudden cardiac arrest. Okay. Right? We can't detect the cardiomyopathies by simple ECG.
Okay.
Right? We need to do 2D echo and so on. So, if you identify the mutation which is responsible for causing the disease in the parents at maybe at age of 40 or 50 with the disease phenotype, but if you detect the child, son or girl, who is at very young age, 15 years or 20 years, you identify the mutation, then start treating even before seeing the symptoms. I came to know through my clinical collaborator, a doctor, a cardiologist, who say that if you start treating the individual even before the symptom comes, then you can prolong their life, prolong or prevent the disease phenotype for 5-10 years. Right. So, that itself is advantage, right. So, one way in preventing. Second one, there is a rare disease which is lethal, and if you identify the mutation, so that mutation can be looked at it at early pregnancy stage, maybe less than 3 months. You can just take amniotic fluid, test it whether the mutation is present in the child depending upon dominant disease or recessive disease. You can take a call, inform the parents, mother particularly, advise them to take a call whether continue the pregnancy or terminate. So, that way we can prevent the inherited disease. So, there are multiple way of looking at it, options. And most importantly, this happens in an endogamous community where people are marrying within the same community.
Yes, sir.
Consanguinity is one problem that people are aware of that. Even the endogamy, marrying within the community, also can lead to rare genetic diseases which are of population specific.
Could you explain how genomics and your work extensively in mitochondrial disorder and rare disease, as you said, why the awareness about rare diseases important in India?
So, both mitochondrial diseases and broadly rare diseases are, although we call it as rare disease, which we are now understanding that it is common rare diseases, right. Common rare in the sense, if you go to a particular population, the rare disease prevalence is very high. But if you look at worldwide, within India or worldwide, it is very, very rare. We had several examples. Other one is the mitochondrial disease. It is a group of diseases called as a mitochondrial disorders, where the primary source for the disease is mitochondrial dysfunction. As we know, as the audience knows, that in a cell we have nucleus which consists of its own DNA. In the cytoplasm we have large number of mitochondria, otherwise known as powerhouse of the cell. Right? That is where the ATP has been produced, which is essential for all our function. The energy goes from there. So, it has its own DNA called as mitochondrial DNA. If there is any change in the DNA or overall mitochondrial dysfunction, it causes a group of diseases called mitochondrial disorders. So, there was not much aware of that particular disease. I think it was very important for us as a scientific community to inform the common people about both mitochondrial disease and rare disease. Not only the common public, also it requires some kind of organization where the scientists, clinicians and the patient group can come together and interact and understand about the disease. So, with this view we started a society called Society for Mitochondrial Research and Medicine,
Great.
which organizes conference every year in different places. So, that is one. Come to a rare disease, because it is very rare worldwide, people are not really studying that, right. Knowing this importance, that is going to be very useful for a particular community and is not been well recognized among clinicians and scientific community. So, we again initiated a new research program on pediatric rare genetic diseases, which is being now carried out at the Center for DNA Fingerprinting and Diagnostics with the support of Department of Biotechnology. So, that is very essential, and to know about that publicly, we have generated and created a small video telling about this importance in 8 different languages, so that the people can look at it and they can get benefit out of this particular program. So, anybody can come and approach CDFD and other 20 other organizations which are part of that.
Great. Sir, what ethical responsibilities come with handling genetic information?
It is very, very important. The privacy of the individual has to be maintained, right. We cannot publicly say that so and so having the mutation which causes the disease, that is one thing. Then that information how others are using is very, very important. So, it should not be released publicly, so that others will not get that information, which will affect in multiple ways, which I do not want to explicitly say.
Sure.
Therefore, the confidentiality has to be maintained.
So, as now we are entering in the era where artificial intelligence AI and genomics are beginning to work together. How artificial intelligence transforming genetic research, sir?
So, now artificial intelligence is everywhere, right. It is very useful when you have a large data set to quickly analyze and give us the information. Similarly, for the genomics, where we generate sequence of thousands of individuals, right. The data is going to be very, very huge. So, every single individual, if you sequence, there are 3 billion base pairs, right. If you have thousands of individuals, then you can imagine how big the data set is, and analyzing that manually, it is very, very difficult, right. When you have AI that can easily analyze and give us the information, then of course, we need to interpret based on the result which we get from AI driven software.
So, can India emerge as a global leader in genomics and biotechnology?
Yes, India is emerging already as a global leader, because we are into genome sequencing and we are importantly providing new set of information when we sequence the Indian population. So, not only in India, also for the South Asian countries. So, it's in the future government is going to support for large genome sequencing program. So, I am sure that it will have lot of impact, particularly in the field of healthcare.
So, before we conclude, let us take a final question, where finally what message would you like to share with the people of India, sir?
Very interesting question. Based on my genetic experience for last 3 decades, I want to say multiple things. One is that genetically we are all related, right. We all have at least some proportion of genetic makeup between every single individual. So, we are all genetically related. So, therefore, we all should maintain unity in diversity, right. That is one thing. Second, the way we practice marriage, particularly the consanguinity and endogamy. So, these are responsible for some of the population specific recessive diseases. So, one has to think about this and avoid consanguinity, so within the family, and also it is better to avoid endogamy, marrying within the community, but it is very difficult to say, but this is my suggestions. Okay. And whosoever want to take it, they take it. And third, that we have to make use of the genetic information for multiple things. If there is any disease, they have to go and test and see whether is there any genetic change which is responsible for that, and take necessary action. I think these days doctors are well aware about the genetics, and they will give appropriate counseling, and take that in positive way and try to avoid the mutation which is passing on to the one generation to other generation, which are responsible for the disease. Therefore, the next generation will get benefit out of that. So, so these are very brief suggestions for our brothers and sisters of the nation, and I hope it will be useful.
Sir, Dr. Kumaraswamy Thangarajan, thank you for joining us on sharing your remarkable journey, scientific insights and vision for future. Well, your work continues to inspire millions and strengthen India's position in global scientific research. On behalf of Doordarshan and our viewers, we once again congratulate you on receiving Padma Shri and wish you to continued success in your service to science and humanity. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you so much.